Hey everyone, it's Tama, and as you can see, I'm outside today, not in our Annex online indoor studio. And I'm outdoors for two reasons. First of all, because it's just such an unbelievably beautiful day. And secondly, because I want to throw a party to which all of you are actually invited. You may or may not know that the church celebrates three big holidays, part of the tradition of the church year. And you'll probably have heard of Christmas, that's one of the bigger ones. The second big holiday that we celebrate is Easter. You heard of those too? Now, the third holiday is called Pentecost. And that's the big celebration that nobody's really heard of. And we're going to hear about it today because we're going to celebrate it. And Pentecost is the story of the day the church was born. So you might call it the church's birthday. And that's the party we're going to have. I have a question for you. Do you know where you were born? My guess is one of two places, probably either in a hospital, or some of you might have actually been born at home. Some possibly even in a bathtub or a little swimming pool at home. Well, the question I have for you is, any guesses where the church was born? The church was born onto the streets of the city. And you may remember the story, how those followers of Jesus, after the clouds had gathered around Jesus and taken him away from them, and he had told them to wait for a special gift in the city, and they were still quite afraid. They were afraid of the religious and political authorities. People might want to harm them. They'd been followers of Jesus, and they knew what had happened to Jesus, and they might have been afraid that something similar would happen to them. So they were quite afraid and hiding behind closed doors, maybe even having the door locked. While they were huddling together behind closed doors, the gift that they had been awaiting came to them. And that gift was Spirit, the Holy Spirit. We say the Spirit of God. Spirit came upon them. And it's not always easy to put to words what it's like when the Spirit of God comes on you. And the way they experienced it, the way they described it, they said it was like a rushing wind. And the other thing they described Spirit as was like fire, flames of fire they could see on the heads of everyone who was in that room. And you know what the first gift of Spirit was to those frightened followers of Jesus? It was courage and boldness. The fear sort of peeled away or fell away, and they opened those locked doors and they went out into the street. And the Spirit took them out amongst all the diverse people that were in the city. And they started speaking boldly and very much just from their hearts about the person and the life of Jesus, his death and his resurrection. And the amazing thing was that everybody in that crowd, and they were from places all over the world because Jerusalem was a very multicultural city at the time. They all spoke different languages, and they didn't necessarily speak a common language, but regardless, everyone, the story says, was able to understand what these followers were saying. So the second gift of the Spirit was unity among the people. Even though there was a very diverse group of people outside, everybody was one in this experience of Spirit. So that's the story of Pentecost, and that's why it deserves such a significant place in our common life, in the life of the church. And so I have decided to have a party, and since it's the party for the birth of the church, it would make sense that all of us who are part of the church would gather together and be at that party. Now we have a problem because we live in the time of the pandemic and we can't get together. In fact, we can't get any more than 6 or 8 people, I think, in our backyard without breaking social distancing rules. So I had to come up with a creative way of having all of the wonderful people of my church community come to this Pentecost party. And what I did was I made a string of flags. I was just going to do colored paper, and then I didn't have any colored paper. And so I thought, well, white might be a little bit bland, and I don't know that I have the energy to do a lot of coloring. So what I did was I found an old book of maps on an old pile of magazines, part of Abigail's collage collection. It's Greater Vancouver and Fraser Valley from 2007, so it's a map that nobody consults anymore. It's too outdated. And I cut it all up. And so I got these beautiful sort of flag pieces that are all different colors from all over the lower mainland here. And it made for a beautiful decoration. And I'm thinking if you guys want to hold a Pentecost party, you could maybe do something similar. And this is what I did, because I can't invite you all here in person. I went through my list and I wrote out all the children and youth that I know of that are part of our church community. I wrote their names on separate pieces of paper, or I typed them off, I should say, and glued them onto these little flags. So each one of you has your own little flag. And I'm going to read off these names, and I want you to listen and hear if your name is in the mix. So I have Michaela and Blessings. I have Jaden and Logan, Cameron, Selah. She's an Eastside Story Guild kid, so some of you might not know her. And Rise also. There's Porter and Zara, Grady and Faith, another Story Guild kid. There's Oren and Malaya, Sophia and little Toby, Naomi and Timothy, Esri and Ellie and little Jacob and Sawyer and Lily and Madeline, Isaiah, Olivia, she's one of our teens, and Asher, one of our kids from the nursery, Jaya and Matthew, he's one of twin boys, Anna, you know Anna, she's one of our teens, and Fiona, I think her parents also call her Wee Fee. That's cute. She's welcome to the party. There's Owen and Micah, Evie, and Annelle. Annelle's actually one of my neighbors. She's in just a few houses around from me, so maybe she could actually make the party. Then there's Lauren and Hannah and Evelyn and Sally, Reed and Simon, two brothers' names side by side, Chloe and Nia, Josh, teen, and Nadia, Charlotte and Sylvie, Lucas and Anissa, Emma and Ben, Pauline and Maxwell, Claire and Maddie, Angus and Kyler, Raphael, Maya, Yvette, Leah, and baby Max, the newest member of our community. So I hope you heard your name read out there. And if I missed it, I want to hear from you, because I definitely will add it to our gathering. That's Mocha barking, and she wants to make sure that she's not left out of the party. So the celebration flags are one idea for a Pentecost party that you could make yourself at home if you had the time to do that, and write maybe as many names of people from the church that you can remember. And I have two other things that I am going to include in our little party, and one are these pinwheels that I've made. I also made them out of the same map paper, and I found a little instruction website on pinwheels, so you can check that out. I'll put it in the link below. They're very simple to make, and I put mine onto a pencil, because then I could use the eraser at the back. I could just put the pin right through that, and that made it really easy to work with. And the reason I'm suggesting you have a pinwheel at your party is because these represent the spirit of wind, the wind of the Spirit. That. And the other thing that represented the movement of the Spirit was fire, remember? So I just want to make sure that I have some candles. And then these do double time as birthday candles, since it is the birthday of the cake of the church. So I'm going to take a minute now, get the party all set up, and then I guess I'm going to invite my family, because they're who are here at home with me, even though I'll imagine that we're all part of the party together. Okay, I think I've got everything set and ready to go here. Let me show you what I've arranged. I put a bit of a cloth down on the table. It's not much, but it's even got a hole in it. I don't know if you can see that. But a cloth kind of makes it into a special occasion. And of course I have a cake, which is the birthday cake. I cheated and bought this one up the street at a store. You could of course bake your own cake if you had time and like to bake. You need to put some candles in there. What do you think? I'm going to put in maybe 4 candles. Even though the church really is thousands of years old and the Spirit is as old as the universe itself. So those are just representative candles. And then what else do I have for the party? Well, you'll see the bunting flags. I have the pinwheels at each of the places. A little bit of blueberry to add to the top of the cake. And I found some mint in our garden. I don't know if mint and water go together, but I was going to make a nice jug of ice water, and we only had 2 lonely ice cubes left in the freezer. So I thought, well, I'll use mint instead. That will freshen it all up. So I think I'm ready to call everyone and welcome them to the Pentecost party. I wish you were all here, and I encourage you to make a party where you are in your home.
The Spirit in me greets the Spirit in you. Hallelujah. and we're in God. Hallelujah. The Spirit in me greets the Spirit in you. Hallelujah. God's in us and we're in God. Hallelujah. Everybody sing. The Spirit in me greets the Spirit in you. Hallelujah. God's in us and we're in God. Hallelujah. The Spirit in me greets the Spirit in you. Hallelujah. God's in us and we're in God. Hallelujah. One more time. The Spirit